All right. Fuhat, Ed, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
And Keith Terry, can you hear me? It?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. It looks like you're in a waiting room. All right. Uh, this is our last meet. This class officially ends on the 10th, and so the scheduled meeting for May 13 is not valid. I have posted your final exam. The final exam has two parts. There's a part with 30 questions. There's a part with 50 questions. So please complete both parts of the exam. For the second part, you have the opportunity to attempt the exam 2 times, and your highest grade will be accepted. So I wish you the best. Thank you all for participation in this class. Today, we are going to talk about monopolistic competition. Monopolistic competition is I would say, in between perfect competition and pure monopoly. In perfect competition, there is practically an infinite number of sellers of a good, large numbers of sellers of a good that are perfect substitutes for each other. And the perfectly competitive firm is a price taker, in the sense that once the market determines the equilibrium price, then the perfectly competitive firm must sell at that price. The other extreme is the monopolies that we talked about. There's only one seller in the market, and that seller faces a downward sloping demand curve. If the seller wants to sell more, the seller has to decrease price, and the marginal revenue for the seller is always below the average price or the average revenue. And so how low can the monopolists reduce price in order to sell more? The monopolists would have to do that and maximize profit where marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue. Now we have in between the monopolists, the perfectly competitive firm, what we call monopolistic competition, or what you might call imperfect competition. I'm going to pull up the slides, and I'm going to post these slides after the class. All right. Now, monopolistic competition, or a firm in monopolistic competition, uh, is a market structure, like I said, in between perfect competition and pure monopoly. There's a large number of firms. While in perfect competition, there's a large number of firms selling exactly identical products. Monopolistic competition has a large number of firms selling differentiated products. There is also free entry and exit in the industry or an industrial structure characterized by monopolistic competition. Now we will learn about, because we have defined monopolistic competition, we would learn about price and output decisions for a monopolistic competitor and understand why brand names advertising are important for monopolistic competition. Yeah, we'll define that, the characteristics, a significant number of sellers in a highly competitive market. Monopolistic competitive firms sell differentiated products. Burger King, McDonald's, and a variety of other burgers that are there in the market. Sales, promotion, and advertising to differentiated products. That's easy entry of new firms in the long run. Okay. And generally, in monopolistic competition, each seller controls a small share of the market. The possibility of collusion is limited, and each firm operates independently. Now, by differentiating a product, what each firm tries to create is a monopoly of that particular brand of the product, even though the product is similar to another one. But if you differentiate a product sufficiently that buyers know the difference and they become loyal to that particular difference, then you have created a monopoly in a small part of the market, even though the availability of substitutes could also reduce, shift your demand curve downward. Because at the time in monopolistic competition, like in pure monopoly, faces a downward sloping demand curve, where the average revenue, which is the average price, is always above the marginal revenue, which is the price, the revenue that the firm earns by selling one additional product. You have to decrease the price, then your marginal revenue is falling over time. And the question that is raised is, in monopolistic competition, you have advertising, but a perfectly competitive firm has no incentive to advertise. But the firm in monopolistic competition has every incentive to advertise because it needs to differentiate their product. Right? Because by differentiating the product, the firm can increase its demand curve, which means demand curve will shift to the right and might actually result in higher profits. Well, again, the difference between monopolistic competition and monopoly has the only seller in a product, and also the product has no known substitutes or no easy substitutes. In the short run, it's possible that a firm in monopolistic competition can make economic profit. Let me see if I can illustrate this with a graph. Okay. As you can see here in this graph, you can see the marginal revenue of the monopolistic competitor is downward sloping. It's downward sloping. And you can see here where the average cost is downward sloping, and essentially it's a U-curved curve. And the marginal cost, the average cost at the lowest point. And where marginal cost equal to marginal revenue, that is where profit is maximized. So what we're saying is that in the short run, before competitors set into the market, the firm in monopolistic competition is going to be making what you call pure profit, which is profit that is above the marginal cost. Okay? Now, in the long run, you can see the average cost curve touches on the average revenue curve, which shows that as new firms enter the industry and reducing the shifting the demand curve downwards to the left, eventually the monopolistic competitor will earn zero economic profit, but you also see that there's an element of inefficiency to monopolistic competition because there's still profit around if you increase output, but you will not be maximizing profit. Increasing output, you also have to reduce price. We compare the competitive firm. You can see the competitive firm has a flat demand curve. Marginal revenue equals marginal cost is at a point of maximizing profit, but in this case, it's zero economic profit. While you can see here monopolistic competition, the profit maximization is achieved at that quantity where marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue, okay, at this point. But you can see that it leads to zero economic profit. If the firm produces more, it will have a situation where average total cost is higher than average total cost, higher than average total revenue, that is and the firm will be making a loss. Okay. Now, so in the long run, the equilibrium occurs where average total cost is minimized, and the marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, and so the firm makes zero economic profit. And so, in order to remain viable in the market, the perfectly competitive firm would brand itself. And it will try to brand itself to say, our product is best for you. Okay, our product is best for you. Right? And so what kinds of advertising? You have direct advertising, which is targeted at a specific audience. You have mass marketing, which everybody is the target. Okay. And so in the process, firms in monopolistic competition create different kinds of goods. You have search goods, experience goods, and credence goods. As an example, on the other side, a credence good is something like healthcare, where the consumer doesn't have the ability to estimate the value of the product in advance without an expert. And then you have experience goods such as soft drinks, restaurants, that you can only evaluate them by actually experiencing them. Like a soft drink, you have to sip it and say this is good or it's not. Such goods are goods that you can evaluate their value without actually buying them based on experience. Okay. So those are the lectures that I have for monopolistic competition. The next thing is about externalities, and externalities are those effects or outcomes that affect the non-participants. And I'll give you an example. It's very simple. For example, vaccination. Vaccination has an externality in the sense that when somebody vaccinates, they're not able to transmit a disease to anybody else, and so the spread of that disease will diminish, okay, or go away. Now, pollution is a negative externality. Vaccination is a positive externality. Pollution is a negative externality in the sense that the company is mining for gold or for minerals, and they pollute the air And so the externality here being the adverse consequence that the producer is producing that is affecting those who are not in that production. So mining is an example. And so the full meaning and other illustrations of externalities are available for the book. So does anybody have any questions?
No.
No question. No.
Professor,
Right.
I just have a question about the exam. You said
Okay.
it's opening up on Thursday. I'm traveling right now for work, so I'm actually in London right now. I
Okay.
get back tomorrow and I leave again on Thursday. So you said part one is open on Thursday. At what time? And then what time does it close on Friday?
Every exam opens at 12 midnight on that day and closes at 11:59 p.m. the next day.
So it opens at 11:50 or at midnight on 12 a.m.
Um,
Thursday morning
yes.
and closes at midnight Thursday night.
Friday night. You have 2 days.
Okay.
You have 2 days.
2 days.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And then the other test part two opens up at midnight on Friday night.
Yes. And
And we
closes
haven't
until Saturday night to complete it. So you
oh,
have 2 days.
perfect. Perfect. Okay. I just want to make sure I can get it in with my traveling.
Yes.
I have two questions.
Sure.
So everything is due by Sunday or Saturday, or when is everything due?
The ninth. The ninth is when?
9th is
Friday.
Friday. Okay.
Friday. And we are required to submit the grades by no later than Monday. So I need time to compute the grades. Your grades will be computed by an average that I will compute myself based on the syllabus, but because I've added the second part of the exam, I'm going to combine those two to create the 25% for the final exam. So your average score for the final exam will be a combination, actually an average of both the part one and the part two.
Okay. And for the ungraded, because I noticed that part 7, there's
Okay.
there's two different discussions, but they're both ungraded. Is that okay? Or
Uh,
and
it, it, it's
we
okay.
get points for ungraded, or if we don't.
I will decide that.
Okay.
Okay.
Because just with catching up, I'm just trying to figure out how I need to
Yeah, it's fine. Fine. It's fine.
get in. Okay.
All right. It was a nice semester. I'm glad that you all participated very actively. And so I wish you the best in your future endeavors. I may or may not encounter you again. Developed a course in labor economics. And so I may be able to see you there, or I'm a statistician by training. And so if there's a statistics requirement in your degree program, you might see me again. Everybody have a nice summer. Summer is coming, or it's already here. Here in Atlanta, Georgia, you're probably already enjoying full summer. Here in New York, it comes and goes. We're still happy about it. All right, so have a nice evening, everybody.
Thank you so much, Professor. Take
Good
care.
night.
All right, good night.
Thank you.